We are Joshua and Riley Powell, and we were fortunate enough to be able to start Hope Fellowship just over right at 20 years ago now.
I'm Whitney Geiger.
And I'm Josh Geiger. Whitney and I started attending Hope. We know it was in 2012, and the Super Bowl Sunday was our first one.
Travis and Lindsay Kane actually met us out in the lobby, and they invited us that night to a Super Bowl party with their home group. We connected through them and got plugged in right away to a home group and have been in home groups ever since.
That way of getting introduced to the church, even back then, I'm not even sure if the formal mission of the church was articulated at that time, but just living through that part of becoming and belonging in the church, it was demonstrated by the people that were already here.
One of my favorite things starting the church was the first band practice was in our living room. Remember?
Yes, I forgot.
So we set up the keyboard and everything.
All right, well, that sounded really good, and that was an awesome response. But I'm going to say biscuits and gravy. Because when we were in the shopping center, I believe it was like once a month, the breakfast that we would have was actually biscuits and gravy, and that was so fun.
Breakfast has been a Hope Fellowship priority.
It's been a staple since the very beginning of got to have breakfast.
It feels like there were a lot of firsts. We had the first baby. We're over in a restaurant, and we would be leading worship, and the baby would just be all over the church or all over the restaurant.
That was the nursery.
That was the
nursery, is Reba or whoever else holding Grayson and making sure he was taken care of.
And then when we moved to this building, that same baby Gray, was the first kid baptized here in this building. It just feels like there's been this series of firsts. It's been a joy to be a part of.
Yeah, when we first started going, we didn't have children yet, right? So Whitney teaches first grade, so she's very comfortable with the children, me not so much. But that's one of the places we started, volunteering. I've always had an interest in the media. Growing up in my church, the little mixing booth was always in the back pew, and you always wanted to go play with, but you knew you'd get in trouble for it. So roughly the first few months or something, they put a request for volunteers for the sound, and they let me play with the soundboard and fulfilled a childhood dream at some sort. So I still help with that today.
Throughout my entire time here at Hope, it's been the opportunities to volunteer and to be engaged with whatever was happening at the time, whether that was music ministry or us getting to be the youth pastors to start out the church for the first couple years, moving buildings, and there's projects to be done, boards to be stained, and stages to be built, and whatever it was. I think it's just the opportunity to constantly be engaged really gave us that feeling of belonging and
responsibility,
ownership of Hope as well.
Just the evolution of the ministries, right? I've been fortunate to be able to be involved with the transformation of dreams of spaces, like the Hope Kids area or the youth area, into what they are today. And I know that we're going to go other future bigger places, but just seeing those spaces evolve from an idea to execution is something very cool to see, and know that you are able to volunteer and have a role, a different style of role, by seeing those spaces evolve and helping upfit them with new technology and a new space, and knowing that every week that both the youth and the kids get to experience what is there today. You are still helping, but in a different way, right?
From the beginning, it's like you are a core part of belonging and including others to belong. So you're creating all these spaces to invite others into, like making sandwiches for the soup kitchen, or building tent cities in the parking lot to serve the homeless. But even playing poker in the Votaz basement,
Right.
Just playing games and being together, everything was integral. So we were a part, we had our hand in every piece of what was going on in the church, but the church also was a part of our everyday home lives. So our first, birthday parties were together, and meals were together, and all family events. It was just really all together, and I think I've loved to see that carry on throughout the years. I know that that's at the heart. I think that's why breakfast is so important to Hope, because they want people to linger and have space together and have time together.
I think one of the big areas that helps you become and belong is really this notion of volunteering, right? We're called to tithe monetarily, but the ability to pour in to different ministries throughout the church is an important part of that. That gives you the opportunity to build those relationships, to become a part of something bigger than yourself. And it's by no means required, but I think if it's something that you do, then you start to create those relationships.
So when we first started coming here, I can remember going to a DNA class with Mark, and he talked a lot about using the gifts that you have to glorify God. And so that was just a way I saw immediately that I could connect here at Hope. I do teach, and so getting that connection into Hope Kids and being able to use that gift, but as far as belonging, just seeing Christ through the eyes of kids and those first relationships that are forming, getting to see them learn about the love that God has for them. It's just amazing.
I'm an engineer by training and trade, so I approach a lot of things from a logic, scientific standpoint, and having faith is sometimes at odds with that, right? It's always trying to rationalize something that's arguably illogical with what we have as believers. And there's this reality that you live in, right? And there's this ideal that God has put in place for us through the Word and through our futures. And it's grace filling those gaps, right? And it's very comforting to me to know that it's okay not to have an equation to explain certain things or a logic to do it, to know that the grace is there to fill that, right? That's very comforting to me.
Even as we've grown and went from one service to two services, we really prayed for a church that would feel like home and feel like a community. Just being connected here through volunteering and just the church people, it feels like home.